So welcome to the latest episode of Gallifrey Part Radio, where we are continuing the primers of the various Doctors. Um, this time we are covering the Seventh Doctor, portrayed by Sylvester McCoy. But before we get into that, I am your host, David Beauchamp. I am yet again doing this alone by myself. My co-hosts will rejoin me when we do the Eighth and Ninth Doctor primers. But Sylvester McCoy's run on Doctor Who as Seventh Doctor, he was in 3 series or seasons. He had a total of 12 stories, equaling out to 42 episodes, a much longer run than Colin Baker had. Again, we're also dealing with, are we going to cancel Doctor Who? Are we not going to cancel Doctor Who? It was still a very turbulent time for Doctor Who, and ultimately, this is sort of the last of the classic Who before we get that sort of buffer with the TV movie with McGann and then into proper New Who. He had two companions, Mel, the carryover from Colin Baker, who wasn't so much into getting the Doctor to drink carrot juice or ride the stationary bike. And then we have probably the more famous of the two with McCoy, Ace. Oh, Ace, what a wonderful character she was, and a character that had a lot of backstory to her that we got to explore, which is something we really didn't do with any previous companion. Really, not to the level into New Who, but yeah, this was the first time we really explored the past of a character, and there's sort of some repercussions there. McCoy's Doctor, the Seventh Doctor, is sort of known as the sort of master manipulator. He was definitely playing a chess game, and even when you thought the Doctor might be out, there he was. He's also known for the question mark umbrella and the trademark sort of sweater vest of all the question marks. What to say about the Seventh Doctor? It's interesting because the Doctor, just everything is being there was so much change going on, and they were doing their best to save the show at the time. And I got to say, the quality of the episodes, the quality of the show was getting better. But some would say the damage had already been done with Colin, unfortunately, because I still don't think Colin got a fair shake at the role. Sorry, a little tongue-tied there. But I think one of the reasons why things were starting to go so well for McCoy's Doctor, I think Ace was a big part of it. But the writing and what they were trying to do with the stories of the Seventh Doctor, Andrew Cartnell was trying to bring mystery back into the mythos of the Doctor. He really wanted to, it seemed anyway, to make the Doctor more mysterious. What do we really know about the Doctor? I mean, who is he really? What is his dark? I mean, does he have a dark past? I mean, he was bringing back all these questions that I think had sort of fallen to the wayside, or the writers just weren't bringing up anymore. And sometimes it's called the Cartnell Master Plan, but even in a few interviews, Andrew was like, if I was doing it, I didn't realize it. He was trying to tell good stories. And I think he was, and he was doing a lot of great things for the show. But again, like I said, it was a little too late. And it was really cool in one of the DVDs, I think it was Survival, which was the last proper classic Who episode. They had some interviews about what was going to be happening and what, in the show, and what McCoy would have liked as they happened. One of the things McCoy wanted to see gone was the question marks. He thought it was a little too over the top. It was time to get rid of that part of the costume, and I really think he would have had his way with that, which would have been really cool, to see that taken out. I mean, that was something that J&T really brought in, were the question marks to the clothing. So it was gonna. It'd be nice to see those go, and not be I don't know, gimmick, like the Superman S, with the question marks. Um, we were going to see Ace also depart in the next series or season. Um, and her departure was going to be her departing on Gallifrey to become the first human Time Lord to go to the Time Lord Academy and stuff like that. Um, and also a lot of other little tidbits. There would be a few other loose ends tied up. But the cool thing is a lot of what was going to happen on in the following season or series ended up in the New Adventure novels, where you find out a lot more about the history of Gallifrey, what's going on now, just the changes that had occurred since we had last visited. And there was just going to be more history. They were going to build on the mythos, um, and not so much on the sort of wacky adventures. Um, oh, wow. Ace. Let me talk about Ace a little. Ace was sort of, I guess, a breath of fresh air, where the Doctor was the master manipulator. He was very much against violence. You have Ace, who refuses to call the Doctor the Doctor, calls him the Professor, and stuff like that. It was a very, she was a nice parallel, or parallel. I'm not sure if that's the word I'm looking for. It was a nice dynamic because we had her with the baseball bat. I mean, the Doctor had no trouble letting her, go out there beat a dialect with a baseball bat or shoot a rocket launcher. He had no problems with that. Um, and they did share the love of music. He was always teaching her about new types of music and stuff like that. It was a very I don't know if I want to say it's like the grandfather granddaughter dynamic there in a sense, but it was nice to see that sort of that growing relationship between the two characters, especially as we explored more of who Ace and Ace's history was, because we revisited Ace's family where she came from quite a bit off and on through the short little 10 years she was on the show and the few episodes. And interesting fact, McCoy did actually save Sophie's life um, during Battlefield when the tube she was in that was filled with water um, didn't disengage the way it was supposed to. So he actually, if I remember correctly, broke through the glass and the water came out and he actually saved her. So that's kind of an interesting little story. Um, the one sad thing about this run is this was the last time we really saw Anthony. I always have a horrible time pronouncing his last name, Anil. Anil. Play the Master. He did come back one last time to play the Master in the Doctor Who computer video game, um, but this was the last time we saw him, and that was in Survival. And then he passed shortly after the Doctor Who video game. And on one of the DVDs they have, I think Survival again, has his last appearances as the Master through the video game. And of course, the adventures continued with the Seventh Doctor in the novels, and Big Finish has also done quite amazing Seventh Doctor audio dramas as well. So even though again he had a shorter run, longer than Kylie, we get to know who the Seventh Doctor is on the TV show, and we get to explore it even further with the novels, the comics, and the Big Finish audios. Um, and that's really much all you can really say about him. He was the master manipulator. He was the last of the classic Who. He was, there to try to save Doctor Who. And I think if they would have given him another season, it might have happened. Or, it could have been time to, give Doctor Who a rest. Because one thing that I guess the BBC controller, I think is what he's called, the person in charge of all the programming, was like, they never saw Doctor Who's cancellation as something permanent. They figured, put it on the shelf, wait until they heard some really great ideas from people that were not only worked for the BBC, that were in the industry, were also huge fans, and they'd bring it back. I don't think they ever thought they would have the rest that it had, from classic to the TV movie to New Who, but what can I say? We lost Doctor Who. at this point. We got a taste of it back with the TV movie, but we got Doctor Who back, and not only did we get it back, we got it back amazingly well. I mean, it's always been popular worldwide. It's always been very popular in the States, but it's now an international, hit. I mean, it's one of the biggest money makers that the BBC has right now, from what I understand, via television. And just the fact that they announced that they're going to show the 50th anniversary episode globally all at the same time, I think says a lot. I mean, so it shows that it is an international phenomenon, and the fact that they had an inter exclusive video for at Comic Con says a lot. That the BBC realizes the fandom is worldwide and not just in England or here or there, but it's become an international phenomenon. And I think the best way to finish off the Seventh Doctor primer, and I think also gives you a feel for who the Seventh Doctor was in personality and fun, is the final lines from Survival that the Doctor says.
Where to now, Ace?
Home.
Home?
The TARDIS.
Yes, the TARDIS. There are worlds out there where the sky's burning, where the sea's asleep and the rivers dream. People made of smoke and cities made of song. Some of there's danger, some of there's injustice, and somewhere else the tea's getting cold. Come on, Ace. We've got work to do.
And I think that's a fitting end to this episode of Gallifrey Pirate Radio, the primer for the Seventh Doctor. And this is Gallifrey Pirate Radio signing off. Until next time, peace.